Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Writer's Block, the show where we write stuff. And that's pretty much it. That's all we do here. Just a little bit of backstory, a little bit of context. I have had a passion for writing pretty much my whole life, and it's kind of manifested itself in different ways. When I was a kid, I had this big-ass Microsoft Word document on the family computer, and I would just spend hours typing away of my gigantic novel. It was titled My Story. It had no plot. It was basically just like a fictionalized version of my life with equivalent characters to like my family and my friends. And it was like 1,000 pages. It was like Stephen King sized, and I was just typing away at it all the time, just because I enjoyed doing it. I liked seeing, my ideas take life, in as little steps as possible. And throughout the years, I've kind of exercised my passion in different ways. Most recently, I have taken a swing at writing screenplays for movies, ideas for television shows. I don't know, like, not with any kind of outcome, not with under the assumption that these are going to get made, but just as like an exercise and as a fun little hobby that I have. So I thought, what better than to turn my passion into content, into good old-fashioned YouTube content for views and likes and subscribe. Please like and subscribe if you like this video already. If you don't, keep watching until you like it and then leave a like. What better way to start off this brand new venture than with a classic television show known as SpongeBob the SquarePants. Just SquarePants, sorry, not this. That was the original title that they were going for. SpongeBob SquarePants is a Nickelodeon cartoon show that's been around since 1999. That's when it first started. It's around 26 years old, and it's still going strong. They're on season 18 or something, or like 35 or something. I don't know. It's even had spin-offs in the form of the Patrick Star Show and Camp Coral. I haven't seen either of them. I'm sure they're fine. But I thought, what if one day Nickelodeon, they decided to, swallow their pride and end SpongeBob SquarePants for good with one final episode to end all episodes. And I'm picturing this like way in the future, like Tom Kenny's died. They replaced him with AI for a few years, and they were like, okay, this isn't gonna work. So they're like, let's put it out of its misery, right? And I know some of the more studious viewers may point out that SpongeBob already has a finale in the form of the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, and I guess that is technically true. I know that the SpongeBob movie is meant to take place after everything, even all the episodes that came out afterwards, because it ends with him being the manager of the second Krusty Krab, and that's not in the other episodes. That's the canon ending, I guess. But I'm gonna put my episode after that movie. Okay, I'm gonna make this the finale of the finale. All right. And I'm going to. This is gonna be for like this is the mature ending. I'm picturing this to be rated M for mature, and you'll see why when we get into it. And I'm picturing this to be like a send off for the adults that grew up watching SpongeBob, like someone like me. So it's like a more mature thing, kind of like the Toy Story movies, or like the Star Wars, the Clone Wars. I think that one gets more mature as it goes on. These glasses aren't real, by the way. I thought it would make me look more sophisticated. We can get rid of those. And so for those who forgot, the SpongeBob movie ends with SpongeBob as the manager of the Krusty Krab 2. They made a second restaurant. It's the exact same thing. It's kind of funny. And Plankton is in jail. And I'm gonna keep with those two developments. And you're probably wondering, what's my goal here? What am I aiming for with this? And humbly, I strive to make the best episode of television ever fucking put to screen. Fuck Ozymandias from Breaking Bad. Fuck the season 3 finale of Invincible. I'm going for perfection here. Okay? I'm gonna have all the character moments and all the satisfying conclusions to arcs. That's all gonna be in this. I took a lot of inspiration from the Breaking Bad finale. Just in like tone, I guess. So that just picture that. Before we get in here. And it's gonna take place a few years after the movie ended. So the characters are a little older. They have aged. We're breaking away from the cartoon thing where nobody ages. These characters have aged a few years. And Plankton, let's say 10 years. Plankton is let out of prison. Okay, and he wasn't in prison, or he was in prison. He wasn't able to pay for to keep running the chum bucket, and so he's getting evicted. He's sitting on like a tiny recliner, surrounded by like alcohol and empty cans of beer, and he's crying. He's got tears streaming down his one eye, with a big envelope that says eviction notice on it. Just like classic movie starting point. And he's belligerent, and he's like, "Oh, Karen, I can't do this anymore, Karen. Something has to change. I need that formula, Karen. I need it by any means necessary." Karen's there, his computer wife, and she goes, "Any means, Sheldon?" And Plankton's like, "Any means." And Karen's like, "Okay, Sheldon." She understands what he's getting across there, all right? And she's like, "You sure you want to do this? Like, there's no going back if you choose this option." And Plankton's like, "Honey, I can't do a Plankton impression. You're gonna have to." He just sounds like me from now on. Plankton's like, "Honey, we passed the point of no return a long time ago." All right, and then Karen, she's like, "Okay." She pulls this big lever on the wall, and it opens up a hatch, and like a little conveyor belt rolls along, and it brings to Plankton his latest invention, his newest invention, the plan after Plan Z, if you could even imagine that, and that is a realistic gun, like a real handgun, like a Colt 45. I'm not like a gun nut. I don't know much about the guns. He just has a real life gun, right? And so Plankton picks it up, he cocks it, and he goes, "Karen, make me some hologram meatloaf. We ride at dawn." And then the music builds is like kind of suspenseful. Then cut to the Krusty Krab. Krusty Krab with the Krusty Krab 2 next to it. We see the both of them where they've always been, right across from the chum bucket. They don't know what's coming to them, okay? And we go inside the Krusty Krab 2, the second one. And it's packed. The place is packed. It's popping. It's full of people. It's lively, and working at the register, taking orders, is Patrick Starr. Patrick, he got himself together. He's now like a nice, reliable, respectable employee who's able to hold up a job. It's growth. We've seen growth from him, and he takes orders. He passes it along behind him to the kitchen behind him. Working in the kitchen is the hash slinging slasher. I thought that would be fun. He got the job. He wasn't able to. He didn't get the job in the other episode, so he can get now that there's like a extra positions open, he's able to do that. And they're just doing their thing, right? And they're working at the place. As Patrick delivers an order to one of the tables, out of the manager's office walks SpongeBob SquarePants, the manager of the Krusty Krab 2. And you can see his age. He's got maybe some stubble, maybe he's got kind of like a beer belly. He's kind of that awkward middle-aged look going on, right? But he's happy nonetheless. And Patrick and SpongeBob, they meet in the middle of the floor, and they're like, "Hey, what's up? Everything going all right? Oh, you know it, man. Oh, you know it." This is what SpongeBob sounds like. "Hey, you know it, man. Things are going good." And Patrick's like, "Oh yeah, the rush just died down. I think we're getting ahead of it." And SpongeBob's like, "I'm gonna head over to Eugene. I'm gonna go over to the first Krusty Krab. I'm gonna see what's going on over there." And they salute each other, or they like say goodbye. By going, SpongeBob goes, "Goofy Goobers," and Patrick goes, "Forever." And they just they fist bump or they dap each other. I don't know. And then SpongeBob goes to the first Krusty Krab, and within the first Krusty Krab, same exact layout. It looks exactly the same. Also very busy, working at the register as always. Squidward Tentacles. He still works there. And in the kitchen is behind him is Jim. Jim, he's nice now. He got his original job back. SpongeBob comes in. He's like, "Hey, Squidward. Hey, Jim. Hey, Nosferatu." Nosferatu's there. He gives him finger guns. And then he goes into the office where Mr. Krabs is counting his money. And Mr. Krabs is like, he's like, and he sees SpongeBob. He gets a big smile on his face. He's like, "Sponge boy, me Bob, how you been?" And they're just kind of chumming it up. They're just, I don't know. They're just kind of talking about manager stuff. They're like, "Oh, did you get the stock, the shipment of patties?" "Yeah, I did last night." Whatever they talk about, I don't know. And then back on the main floor, Squidward takes an order. He's like, "Oh, have a good day." The customer walks off. Next in line, however, is Bubble Bass. And Bubble Bass is always bringing trouble with him. And so Squidward's like, "Hello, Mr. Bass. What can I get for you?" Okay, and Bubble Bass, he's like, "Can I get a Krabby Patty?" And he's about to say with pickles. But before he can say pickles, he gets cut off by gunshot. Squidward's face is splattered with blood. Bubble Bass's blood. All right. Bubble Bass falls to the ground. He dies instantly. Behind him is Plankton, holding the realistic gun in his hand. He cocks it again. Plankton has just sweat dripping down his face. His eyes all red. He looks deranged. And he's like, "Where is Eugene?" And in the Krusty Krab 2, Patrick looks over to the side out the window to see the first Krusty Krab. He sees, there's chaos. He hears the gunshot. There's chaos all around. All the customers are running out to safety. And Patrick's like, "Oh no, SpongeBob is in there." So he runs out in a hurry and towards the first Krusty Krab. SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs then step out and they see what's going on. Plankton has a fucking gun. Okay. And SpongeBob, in a split second, pushes Mr. Krabs back into the manager's office, and he blocks the door. And Plankton, he walks up. He's like, "Get out of my way." SpongeBob's like, "You're never going to get the formula. You'll never win." And Plankton's like, "So be it." SpongeBob opens his eyes. In front of him is Patrick, with a bullet hole in his chest, bleeding out. Patrick falls to the floor. SpongeBob starts to console him. He's freaking out. He's like, no, Patrick, no. He tries to put his hand over the bullet wound, but blood is just gushing out. It's so much blood, you can't do anything. Patrick's life is fading out, okay? SpongeBob's like, "Patrick, speak to me. Please say something." And Patrick utters his last words. "Goofy Goobers forever." Patrick's body goes limp. SpongeBob sits there in shock, allowing Plankton to walk by straight into the manager's office. Mr. Krabs is hiding behind his desk. Plankton begins to taunt him. "Krabs, oh Krabs." Mr. Krabs points to the safe on the wall and he goes, "It's in there. The formula is in there. I'll give you the combination." Plankton sees through his act. He goes, "I'm not falling for that, old man. Not this time. I'm sorry, old friend, but this is where our story ends." Mr. Krabs goes, "All right, I'll tell you. But you can't hurt anyone else." Plankton goes, "Fine by me." Karen walks in with a bit of rope, ties Mr. Krabs up, picks him up on her shoulder, and they walk out of the Krusty Krab and into the chum bucket, past SpongeBob and all of them. As they're passing by SpongeBob and Patrick's corpse, Mr. Krabs whispers to SpongeBob, "Get out of here. Go far away." And so in kind of giving himself away, he gives SpongeBob and Squidward the chance to escape. SpongeBob, he tries to take Patrick's body with him. He tries to pick it up. He's unable to. It's too heavy. Until Squidward steps in and he helps him out. He grabs his legs, and they both they carry him out of the Krusty Krab and to safety. Inside of the chum bucket, Karen throws Mr. Krabs to the ground, and Plankton points the gun straight at his head. All right, he goes, "Where's the formula?" Okay, and then Mr. Krabs starts laughing. He's like, "Oh, you idiot! I was never gonna tell you. I just wanted to make sure that everybody else got out in safety." And then I wrote here, Plankton pistol whips Mr. Krabs, which I think is like a funny sentence just on its own. And he's like, "You'll tell me, Krabs, all right? Not right now, but with enough torture, you'll be singing like a whale." Suspense builds up again with the music. Cut to Sandy's dome, where our heroes have taken refuge. I'm going to say that she filled her dome just because of the dire situation. She filled her dome with water, so nobody else to wear a suit except for her. And Patrick's body is being cremated, right? It's on like these. It's kind of like it's surrounded by logs. It's like the Darth Vader like in episode 6, like that kind of thing. But Patrick is there instead. And SpongeBob lowers his torch and he lights the burial on fire, and he watches as the body burns. Squidward shows up and puts his hand on his shoulder in solidarity, and they share a few words. Squidward goes, "He was a good man." SpongeBob's like, "Yeah, the best." And they start like sharing memories, nice memories. Squidward's like, "Do you remember when he said, 'Is mayonnaise an instrument?'" And they're like, "Yeah, he was a funny guy, you know." And then SpongeBob, he sees Sandy. Sandy, she's like programming like these security bots just to make sure that they're safe in there. She's like a technology kind of gal. And SpongeBob's like, "Hey, thanks for letting us stay in here." And Sandy's like, "Sure thing, SpongeBob. If Plankton comes near here, my robots will fry him like a corn dog." Her tone is not very appropriate to the situation. But she's doing a big help nonetheless. And then SpongeBob looks off to the side and sees Pearl, Mr. Krabs' daughter. She's sitting like this with her knees up, and she's like, she's super upset. She's devastated. And SpongeBob walks up to Pearl, and she's like, "Listen, we're gonna get Mr. Krabs back." She doesn't say anything, and so he tries to console her by putting his hand on her shoulder, but this just sets Pearl off. She goes on this tirade about "Don't pretend you're my friend. You left my dad there to die. And all that." And it makes sense, you know. SpongeBob, he feels bad. Obviously, he was in shock because his best friend just died, and he was trying to get himself to safety. But he understands her anger because he left Mr. Krabs there. Maybe he could have tried something, maybe. And also, you know, Pearl, she's not thinking straight, so he understands her anger, right? This is a very traumatic experience. And so SpongeBob, he lowers his head in shame, and he steps back. You know, he just gives her space. Back in the chum bucket, it's all dark, it's pitch black, until bright light flickers on, bright overhead light right into Mr. Krabs' face. He's bound to a chair, and Karen swings a big wooden bat and just hits him in the abdomen. He's like, "No!" And then Plankton steps out of the darkness. He's all like, "The great Eugene Krabs, look at you now. This could have been a lot easier if you just told me where the formula was. But now you probably got a few broken ribs, maybe some internal bleeding. I mean, you're a smart guy. What's the point in all this? Why not just give up?" And then Mr. Krabs, he goes from like, you know, keeling over in pain to like he postures himself. He repostures himself, and he looks Plankton dead in his eye. And Mr. Krabs says, because you can't win. You'll never win. Whether it's because I win or we both lose. So you can hurt me. You can kill me. But you will never get me to spill the beans." Plankton, that pisses him off. And he goes off. He's like, "Of course I'll hurt you. But you won't be the only one. You thought you were noble, sacrificing yourself so your employees could get away. Well, guess what? We went back. We found them. They're here too, tied to chairs just like the one you're in. Maybe you'll change your tune once we bring them out and do what we've done to you. And so Karen and Plankton step out into another room. Mr. Krabs falls for this bluff, even though Plankton knows that he didn't scoop up anybody else. He was lying. Now, he didn't even get the hash slinging slasher, and that guy's like a softie, right? And so Karen's like, Sheldon, you know that he's gonna find out you were lying soon enough. What are we gonna do when he finds out that we have no leverage here? And Plankton's like, we need to find one of the others. SpongeBob, Squidward, Pearl. And Karen's like, whoa, you can't bring his daughter into this. That's too far. And Plankton looks at Karen insidiously and takes a step towards her. What? Oh, is it too much for you? There's no going back, remember? We already killed a man. Now go to the Krusty Krab. Find anything you can that will help us locate Eugene's friends. And Plankton, he furiously walks off. We linger on her face. It's just a TV screen. There's no expression, but you can tell that she's kind of second guessing this. Plankton's use of the word "we" also it's kind of guilting her into going further into the darkness. Right back into Sandy's dome. SpongeBob and Squidward are huddled over with Sandy, who's at this computer. She's controlling this drone. She's got a drone flying around with a camera on it around the Chum Bucket, seeing what's going on. And on the video feed, they can see that the Chum Bucket is sporting a bunch of high-tech weapons and gadgets, like a big-ass saw blade, and a flamethrower, and also they also have security robots. And then they zoom in to the window of one of the windows of the Chum Bucket, and they can just barely see in the low res footage. They can see Mr. Krabs tied to that chair. And they're like, okay, he's still alive. And then SpongeBob's like, I gotta go get him. So he starts to walk off outside of he tries to leave Sandy's dome, and then Sandy stops him. She's like, you sure you want to do that out there? Didn't you see all the little doohickeys he's got? And SpongeBob's like, I can't just leave him. I gotta try and save him. And Sandy's like, well, you're gonna get yourself killed. And SpongeBob's like, what do you want me to do? You just leave him to die? No, I just want you to stay here a little longer, Sandy says. SpongeBob looks down. He's frustrated. He's like, he feels like he has to right now. And then Sandy finishes her thought. She says, I want you to stay here a little longer so that you can train. And SpongeBob looks up. He's like, train? He starts to, he smirks. They both smile at each other because he's like, oh, I get what you're putting down. I see what you want now. So we go to the Krusty Krab inside of the manager's office. And Karen is looking around. She's opening drawers. She's trying to see if there's any paperwork that says SpongeBob's address or something like that. And she sees the safe on the wall with the fake formula in it. She opens up the safe. She pulls out the thing. She opens the cork just to see what's on the fake form, to see if there's any clues, right? She pulls out the paper, and it's like a photo of Mr. Krabs goatsing the camera. She crumbles it up, just tosses it aside. But then she looks back inside the safe, and she notices something. And we don't see what she sees yet. But you see her, she gets an idea, and she's like, huh, interesting. And we cut to the Chum Bucket. All right, that same stark lighting is just shining on Mr. Krabs' face. And he's like, just give it up. I'm not telling you where my formula is. And Plankton's like, oh, no, I don't expect you to. I don't want you to, because I can't wait for you to see what I have. Another light turns on, and you see that there's a big, gigantic pile of money. Kind of like the Dark Knight, that big, a huge, just mountain of dollar bills, right? Mr. Krabs' face turns white. And Plankton's like, recognize this, Krabs? It's all your money. Every dollar you've ever made, including the ones under your mattress, and in the toilet tank, and inside your boat's tires. So for every time I have to ask you where the formula is, I'll burn, let's say, $1,000. And then Mr. Krabs is like, you son of a bitch. And Mr. Plankton goes, oh, I almost forgot. Karen then rolls into the room, this giant circular dime. Mr. Krabs' first dime, if you remember the episode. She brings out Mr. Krabs' first ever dime. And Mr. Krabs is like, not me first dime. And then Karen turns her hand into like a blowtorch. And she grabs a stack of bills and she lights it on fire. And Plankton goes, "Where's the formula, Krabs?" Then Karen burns another, and Plankton goes, "Where's the formula, Krabs?" Just upping his intensity every time. And Mr. Krabs is like, no, don't do this. And he's kind of pleading, okay? And then back in Sandy's dome is where we start the training montage. Okay, we see SpongeBob and Sandy, they're like doing like the karate thing with the gloves and the helmets. Larry the Lobster's there, and he's showing SpongeBob how to like throw an anvil. So they're throwing anchors. They're throwing anchors around. SpongeBob, he's lifting the dumbbell with the two teddy bears on it, and he's doing pretty good. He does like a lot of reps, and then he takes off the teddy bears, he puts even bigger teddy bears on it, and so he's getting strong. You can see he's getting stronger. He loses some of that belly fat that we saw him have in the beginning, and so he's getting ready. By the end of the montage, he's ready to take on the fucking world. Okay, so we end the montage. We're still in Sandy's dome. It's nighttime. And there's a campfire, and SpongeBob's sitting alone at the campfire, and he's humming the campfire song to himself. Maybe we see like little flashes of like memories that SpongeBob and Patrick had. And Squidward walks up and he takes a seat next to him. Squidward's like, "Hey." SpongeBob goes, "Hey." Squidward goes, "Are you all right?" SpongeBob's like, "Yeah." Squidward goes, "You don't have to lie to me. It's okay if you're not okay. I mean, I'm not even okay." And SpongeBob goes, Patrick was everything. He wasn't the smartest, but he tried his best. Every day he tried his best." And Squidward goes, "Yeah, I wish I was nicer to him. I'm sorry I was so mean to both of you." SpongeBob goes, "Hey, no, don't worry about that right now." Squidward says, "Tomorrow's going to be hard." SpongeBob's like, "Yeah, I just don't know if I'm ready." Squidward, he chuckles, he goes, "SpongeBob, the only thing I know in this world for sure is that you are always ready." SpongeBob looks at him, he's like, "Yeah." And then Squidward stands up, he goes, "All right, now try and get some sleep." Then he walks away. SpongeBob, he stokes the fire a little bit, and then he lays on his side and he closes his eyes and he tries to get some sleep. The morning after, SpongeBob is in Sandy's treehouse in the bathroom. He's brushing his eyes like he did in the movie with his two bristled toothbrush. And he looks in the mirror. He's kind of just like, he's just preparing himself, right? And then it's really early in the morning, and SpongeBob is about to leave. He thinks everybody else is asleep. And then Sandy stops him. He's like, "What are you doing, SpongeBob?" And SpongeBob's like, "I'm going to go save Mr. Krabs." Sandy goes, "Not alone, you're not." And SpongeBob's like, "Sandy, I can't ask you to come with me." Sandy goes, "Well, good thing I ain't asking either. I'm coming with you." And from behind we hear, "Me too." And Squidward is there. He's up and at him. He's ready. He's also ready. And SpongeBob says to them, "Okay, then let's go." And then the three of them show up at the chum bucket. They're all ready. They're in their action battle stances, and all the mechanical weapons are churning and they're going back and forth. And Sandy's like, "Y'all ready?" And SpongeBob and Squidward look at each other and they go, "Yeah." SpongeBob says out loud, "Yeah, I'm ready." And they all jump forward and they start taking out all the weapons in fucking amazing kung fu fashion. Right? Squidward is dodging flames and he punches a hole through the flamethrower. Sandy's taking out all the robot drones by finding little pressure points, breaking off wires and she's using her technical ability. And SpongeBob, he's dodging giant saw blades, but one of them slices him in half. But he's able to put himself back together because he can just do that, right? And by the end of it, the three of them are standing right in front of the Chum Bucket's front doors, just surrounded by a pile of destroyed machines. And SpongeBob, the karate chops. There's a giant like cartoon lock on the front doors, and SpongeBob just fucking chops it off. He kicks the door open, and Plankton turns his head to see the three of them, and he's furious, and he goes, Karen, kill them. And then Karen goes after them, and then she swings at SpongeBob, and SpongeBob dodges, and he gets behind her, and he turns off. She just has like a big off switch on the back of her head, so he just turns that off, and Karen falls to the floor. And Sandy's like, you're done, Plankton. And Squidward's like, yeah, give it up. And then Plankton pulls out his realistic gun once again, and he points it at Mr. Krabs' head. He's like, get back, or I'll kill this crustacean. And so SpongeBob, he's like, okay. He starts backing up, and he directs the others to start backing up with him. He's like, I have a plan. So they back up, They go right outside the door to the Krusty Krab, or to the Chum Bucket. So they're standing outside, they're on the other side of the door. The door's still open. And then suddenly, SpongeBob jumps forward and he shuts the doors of the Krusty Krab. He grabs like the wooden bat that Karen had, and he barricades the door. He like kind of blocks it from opening. And Sandy and Squidward are like, what the hell? And they're banging on the door. They're pleading for SpongeBob to open it back up. And SpongeBob's like, just get out of here, just go. And they're like, please, SpongeBob, help us. And while they're doing this, Plankton, he steps around and he turns the switch back on Karen's head without them noticing. And SpongeBob, he turns and he faces Plankton. He's like, let him go, Plankton. Let him go. And I'll tell you where the formula is. And Plankton, he starts laughing again. He starts with that same maniacal laugh. And Karen hits SpongeBob on the back of the head and knocks him out. And as SpongeBob's kind of fading out of consciousness, Plankton goes, I want to hear it from his mouth, not yours. And you just gave me the golden ticket. And then SpongeBob's vision fades to black. And so SpongeBob is tied to a chair, just like Mr. Krabs. And Plankton says to Mr. Krabs, he's like, well, I have one of your esteemed employees, and I'm about to kill him if you don't tell me where the formula is. And Mr. Krabs is like, okay, I'll do it. And SpongeBob doesn't want him to. He's like, Mr. Krabs, don't do it. And Mr. Krabs is like, it's fine, kiddo. I figured my days were numbered anyways. And he says to Plankton, the formula, I buried it. Plankton goes, where? Mr. Krabs is like, under the Chum Bucket. And Plankton's like, what? It's been under his nose this whole time. He buried it right under the place where he's been in every single day. And this just drives Plankton up the wall. He's like, and he gets shovels and he directs Karen to start digging, right? And he's just obsessively digging. He's destroying like the entire interior, all the tiling on the floors. He's just tearing it out. He's in this crazy obsessive state. And Karen, she's like, okay, Sheldon, you need to calm down. You're destroying the restaurant. And Plankton's like, shut up, you. I'll destroy you, and I'll make a new computer wife. You're nothing to me. You're just a bunch of nuts and bolts. And Karen's like, oh my God. And she realizes the monster that Plankton has become. And so what does Karen do? She discreetly goes behind Mr. Krabs, and she turns her hand into a blowtorch again, and she burns the rope that was bounding Mr. Krabs, kind of setting him free. And then what Mr. Krabs does, in a miraculous fashion, is there's like a pipe that's like exposed from all the digging, like a pipe, like piping under the store. Mr. Krabs uses his claw and he snips the part of the tube, and the tube like starts like spraying this kind of gas out. And Mr. Krabs grabs Karen's blowtorch hand and points it at the gas, and it starts off like a flamethrower, igniting all the giant stack of cash. Right in, so like it starts this chain reaction of everything catches on fire, and Mr. Krabs grabs SpongeBob, unties him, grabs SpongeBob, and the fire spreads into the kitchen, all the gas powered ovens and stuff like that, until eventually the Chum Bucket fucking explodes, and Mr. Krabs jumps out of the chum bucket carrying SpongeBob moments before the place explodes, and the explosion blows them back, along. And Squidward and Sandy, they're also there. They kind of, they put some distance between them as they saw that the place engulfed in flames, right? And once the explosion blows the two of them back, they're both laying on the floor, and SpongeBob's like, Mr. Krabs, but that it was all your money. And Mr. Krabs goes, boy, this is something that you understand when you get older. But that money, it's just stuff. You can replace that. But you, my boy, you are priceless. And so it's like this heartfelt moment. Mr. Krabs, he values something more than he does money. And that is his dear friend and, former apprentice SpongeBob. And the greater safety of everybody else, because Plankton was a menace. And so, all is saved, right? The chum bucket is blown up. Plankton is dead probably. At least they think so. Because out of the flames comes a silhouette of Mr. Krabs. And they're like, what the hell? And then as it walks out, we can see more clearly that it's the Mr. Krabs robot that from that one episode, and Plankton's inside of it. That was his escape plan, right in the final few seconds. And he starts going after, and he has the formula in his little robot crab claw. And he goes after the two of them. Squidward and Sandy, they both try and go after him, but he just swats them both away. The robot is just super powerful and super strong, right? Mr. Krabs, he's too weak to do anything, right? But SpongeBob, he's like, I can do this. I can take him on. So he starts fighting, right? And SpongeBob is able to get the formula from his hand, and he makes a run for it. He runs inside of the Krusty Krab, and the Plankton robot follows him in. And they have this crazy fight scene. I'm picturing like a one-take fight scene where they're just throwing each other around the Krusty Krab. They're smashing through tables. And their epic battle ends in the kitchen of the original Krusty Krab. SpongeBob is able to get his trusty old spatula that was sitting on the table, and he stabs it into the robot, and it goes like, and he pops the head off, right, revealing Plankton. And in a split second, Plankton, as him, he jumps out, and he grabs the spatula, and he turns around, and he goes, and he stabs it inside of SpongeBob. And SpongeBob's like, he looks down. His own spatula is now piercing his heart, right? And he goes, and he falls to the ground. He lays there. The spatula is sticking out of him, straight up. And Plankton, he gets the formula, and he goes, was it worth it? Was all of this worth it? Just a stupid piece of paper. And SpongeBob goes, every damn second of it. And I'm sad that you'll never know what it's like to have something that you would die for. And SpongeBob, he slowly, he sees the light. And in his last moments, he goes, Patrick. And his eyes go dead. Plankton has the formula, the real one. He pops open the bottle. He opens the scroll. And we don't see what it says. We just see his face. He stares at it. And we watch as his expression goes from like an evil satisfaction to a ghostly realization of dread, right? And Plankton, he stands there blank, and he drops the paper to the floor. And after he drops it, we can see it on the ground. We see what's transcribed on it. And it turns out that this whole time, the secret ingredient to the Krabby Patty is love. And in reading it, Plankton realizes that despite his efforts, he is now the furthest away from achieving the greatness of a Krabby Patty than he's ever been. for he has no love left. He destroyed everyone who had ever cared about him. His wife, his best friend. He ruined his best friend's their relationship. He destroyed his business. He sacrificed everything. There is no love left for him. And so Plankton, with this information, he slowly walks out of the Krusty Krab, like a husk of a human, or of a plankton, right? Walks out of the Krusty Krab, down the little road, past Mr. Krabs, past Sandy, past Squidward, and straight into the flames of what used to be the Chum Bucket, immolating himself and ridding the world of his loveless, cruel, devilish self. And we linger on the flames crackling, and then we cut back inside of the Krusty Krab, and we see SpongeBob, surrounded by. It's kind of like the end of Breaking Bad. It's the same exact shot as the end of Breaking Bad, but like it's SpongeBob inside of the kitchen, laying there like splayed out, right? And then we fade to black. But the episode's not over yet. We have a little bit of an epilogue, kind of. It's like 3 months later, because shows like to do 3 months later. I thought we would have something like that for this. It's 3 months later, and we're inside the Krusty Krab again. There's only one Krusty Krab. The other one, they kind of downsized. We can say that Mr. Krabs, he's retired. We don't see him. He probably just retired and lived like happily somewhere on like a beach or something, even though he lives underwater. And Squidward is still working at the register. And Jim is the new manager, and the Hash Slinging Slasher is also there in the kitchen. But we focus on Squidward, and inside of the store walks Squilliam Fancy Son, and Squidward's like, because Squilliam is always giving him a hard time. But we see Squilliam, he seems kind of different. He's not wearing a super expensive coat. He's kind of wearing just more casual clothes. He's not as snarky as he usually is, and he goes, "Hey, Squidward," and Squidward goes, "Squilliam, what can I get for you?" And Squilliam goes, "Hey, I'm actually I'm looking for a job. I lost all of my money, and I get he gambled it away or something. I don't know. He doesn't have his money anymore. He's not super rich anymore. He's like, I know I've caused you a lot of grief in the past. I was hoping that you could maybe look past our differences and consider hiring me." And Squidward looks at Squilliam, and then he walks out of his booth, and into the manager's office. And Squilliam, he's like, he thinks that he blew him off, right? But then seconds later, Squidward walks right back out of the manager's office with a clipboard and a pen. He clicks the pen. He's like, "All right, Squilliam, just tell me what's your name and your date of birth." And he starts interviewing him. They both take a seat at one of the tables, and they start their interview. And it's like a nice just moment of like forgiveness, and because Squidward, after losing Patrick and SpongeBob, he's like, I understand what it is to feel bad about having been so mean to someone for so long, even if deep down you like you like them to a degree. So he's being charitable to Squilliam, and they're doing their little interview. They're sitting right across from each other at a table, and then we pan away, and we start to zoom in on the wall behind them, and right next to like the window where the kitchen is, right next to them is a plaque on the wall, and the plaque has a picture. It's a picture of SpongeBob and Patrick standing there, nice, arm in arm, like buddies, smiling like they used to. And then we pan down, and there is a plate with some writing engraved on it. And the writing says, "SpongeBob and Patrick, Goofy Goobers forever." and then fade to black. That's the end of the episode, and that is the end of SpongeBob SquarePants as we know it. Maybe for the credits, I wanted there to be like a song where it's like it's like a radio station. It's like, next up, Boys Who Cry, and it's a Boys Who Cry song. I thought that would be a nice, like a bittersweet way to end it. I just like Boys Who Cry. And yeah, that's it. That was the end of my little script there. And that is how I would imagine SpongeBob would end in this weird reality where they would make a rated M for mature episode of SpongeBob. Or at least TV 14, which we know will never happen. But, we gave it the old college try. So let me know what you guys think of this. I had, obviously this one is, this was less of a serious script. This was more it was just kind of like a funny thing of an episode of SpongeBob where like all these characters die and get horribly tortured. But yeah, I thought, it was like I just imagining scenes in my head of like the "You Are Always Ready" bit. I thought that would be like very resonant with audiences. And the thing about Mr. Krabs sacrificing all of his money to save SpongeBob, and Squidward forgiving Squilliam because he's kind of like he sees himself in Squilliam. It's it's all around just a great script. I'm expecting some Emmys coming my way. And yeah, that was the first edition of whatever this series is. I'm fucking dying right now. And so yeah, so that's all I have for this edition of the Writer's Block. Thank you for taking a walk down the Writer's Block with me. This one, I have a few more ideas for things that I want to write. This one was mainly in jest, but I do have an idea for like more earnest suggestions. This show will be half me, joking around, half me giving like actual good ideas that I might have. I'm not sure if they'll all be as in depth as this one, because this one I literally wrote out like basically the whole thing as like a screenplay, and I could have read it just word for word. I kind of summarized certain parts. But I think if I'm doing something like a movie that's like way too long to fit within like an hour, I'll have more of like an outline. And yeah, thank you guys for watching and listening. Make sure to check out my podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like this. Hit that fucking bell. Actually, I don't care. I do care. Hit that bell, please. Keep hitting it. Turn it off and back on again. I think you get you unlock like a special feature in YouTube. I think I'm going to upload this to Spotify as well as like a separate podcast, because I'm pretty sure that I think that you'll be able to listen to this without like a visual aid. Although I upload the videos to Spotify too, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, thank you guys, and I'll see you the next time we decide to take a stroll around the Writer's Block. Goodbye.